and we'll see what happens. Listen, if Islam may retire.
I can feel him.
He may retire. He's done a lot. He's competed in 2 different weight classes and won world championships in 2 different weight classes. If he beats Ian, if he submits Ian and says, I've had enough, I'm going to do what Khabib did and I'm going to coach now, I could see that. And then I could see Morales protest for the fucking undisputed title.
Yeah. Means you'd see them at the track in the mornings. They would just jog, but then there was little stations where you do sit-ups and push-ups. They would do those, and they would do it for 2-3 miles, and they'd come to the gym at noon and they'd do their workout, sometimes hard, sometimes not. But they were always training, always working, and that's what separates them. They're not out at the club until 2-3 in the morning, then trying to recover the next day. They're not drinking, they're not smoking, they're not doing...
The no drinking is huge.
Huge.
Yeah. Huge. If there's one thing that fucks fighters up more than anything, it's partying.
Oh, yeah.
Drinking especially, I guess coke, but I don't have a lot of experience with guys that I knew that were doing coke, but I have a lot of experience with guys that were drinkers. And you would see them in the morning on, like, they would go out Saturday night, Sunday they'd be fucked up, they show up Monday to train, and they just looked like shit.
Yeah.
Because they had been partying too hard just 2 days ago. And you don't think that that's going to make a big difference, but if you're getting drunk on Saturday night, that's days before you're back to baseline.
Yeah.
Days.
That's right.
You know, and you can get away with it when you're 23.
Yeah.
A little bit, kind of. But are you? Because you're probably not as good as you would have been. And then maybe you're going to get hit with some shots that you wouldn't have get hit with, or you've been going to get tapped when you wouldn't have got tapped.
Yeah.
So yeah, but and then you take a look. That's the big difference. If you go back and look at Khabib's career, go back and look at his first fight in the UFC, and look at how bad. And I'm serious, how bad his stand-up was.
Yeah, it wasn't the best.
Oh no, it was probably the worst. Okay, it was.
I don't think it was the worst.
It was bad.
He did a lot of crazy shit. Yeah.
But take a look at it.
Those were his setups.
When he was at the end.
Oh yeah.
It was tight. He always was improving.
Oh, he was dangerous.
Everything.
Remember, he dropped
improved
Conor
throughout.
Mm-hmm.
He cracked Conor. Yeah. You know, with a big right hand, which was like everybody was like.
With the light of knowledge, darkness is dispelled. Knowledge brings growth and stability to families and renaissance to nations. Every educated girl is a beacon of hope. She serves as an ambassador of renaissance and a symbol of civilization. To deprive girls of this light is to deprive their families, their communities, and their ummah. Today, a new sun rises on the horizon for every girl, radiating with aspirations for the future. A place where dreams shine brightly and are realized through achievements. An inspiring historic journey initiated by the Muslim World League in support of girls' education in its true Islamic concept and delivering an Islamic message to the entire world, translating the true message of Islam, a religion of knowledge, civilization, and progress.
But again, we're talking about Islam Makhachev. He's getting a little bit older now, but he's still in his prime. He's definitely still in his prime. And yeah, I think it's a tough fight. I do think it's a tough fight for both guys. But I can't think at any point that Islam is going to lose.
You've said this before, though, on many predictions. So we'll have to see.
Mate, I don't get my predictions right.
But the only loss that Ian Garry has had is against Shavkat, which is quite interesting in that aspect, because remembering that fight, Shavkat basically won on decision, but he took the first few rounds, he got onto the front foot. Yeah. And Ian Garry didn't know what to do with that. Is that a case of, that's my only worry, is that obviously if Islam starts to do that, and obviously it's going to go to 5 rounds, surely from a decision perspective, Islam is always going to be favoured.
Right, I think when you're fighting a guy who's got such a heavy grappling style, you're automatically like defensive of that, which means like you're going to start going backwards. I would like to see Ian Garry get on the front foot with him. Not always on the front foot, but you know, intermittently going on the front foot with him, pushing him backwards sometimes, landing some heavy strikes, keeping it long and stuff like that, rather than expecting the takedown and the tie-up constantly, which, mate, easier said than done.
And obviously, Islam's only loss was a bit of a freak one.
Yeah.
Could we see something like that potentially?
Yeah, it's MMA. It's MMA, isn't it? You can always see someone's got to win, someone's got to lose. There's only two guys there. These are the two best guys in welterweight division in the whole sport. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either way. If Ian knocks him out, I wouldn't be that surprised. But I just think Islam Makhachev's very, very, very good. But so is Ian Garry. So we don't know. It's interesting.
But that's also where I bring Ian Garry into it. Like, Darren Till does make a fair point that Ian is a handsome enough and a good enough, and he's got enough career left in him. Like, that is a bandwagon that a fan would jump to. That is true. But then you have another question, which is, who can get the most people to show up? And that's often misunderstood, that they'll come out if you're popular. They'll come out if they like you. That's a high school phenomenon. That is not true in the entertainment business. And ultimately, it really is the only question. Who can get more to show up? How did they do it? Did they do it through cheers? Did they do it through heat? Did they do it through politeness? Did they do that through disrespect? Ian Garry is a real funny one because he's never done anything wrong. As a matter of fact, he's been caught doing things right. Do you remember when Chimaev came after him to a degree? There was like a real loose video. It was kind of hard to get that whole story. You get a couple of different angles, but Chimaev was trying to start something with Ian, and Ian says, hey, look, you guys, your team, you had a great victory tonight. Don't take away from it. And Darren Till is right. Like, there are things that Ian could do and make the crowd love him, but Roddy Piper was right. When he said you don't need to change, they will. Give it time. They will change. Vince McMahon did everything he could do to get people to boo Stone Cold. Didn't work. They started booing him, then they started buying his t-shirts. So they made him even more of a heel. Then they had him flipping off the audience, for goodness sakes. The audience starts flipping him off. They loved it. Ruined everything. The Rock. They went out of their way to make The Rock despised. But he was just too cool. So they booed him a couple of times, and then they started doing the chant right along with him. And I feel that Ian Garry is closer to that vein. Ian Garry has struck something here. There's something here. When there's an Ian Garry interview, when there's an Ian Garry press conference, something is happening. I can feel it the whole time I watch. Something is gonna happen. And I don't know, I mean, in terms of Ian's ability to draw, if we changed Ian's opponent for next weekend,
like, Islam's doing a good job of recognizing when he's going southpaw and orthodox and using the weapons against him. Nice southpaw.
Jack trying to find the rhythm, and he hasn't been able to develop.
No, and
that. I mean, look at all these fakes, and he's freezing Jack.
And right there, Jack went outside the lead leg. He went outside lead leg. Islam recognized it and he backed up.
And even two fights.
Right now he's southpaw versus southpaw. Yep. Now he's back to orthodox. Then he just went boom. Then he shoots. He's trying to go for that wrestling grab. He moves away from him, takes him down, laces the legs.
Piece of shit. Now, something that Ian Garry does, something that BJ Penn does, is they keep this foot inside and they use that as a way to make space. So they're pushing at the knee here. They're pushing with their knee into the hip. It's almost like a little butterfly hook. GSP struggled a ton with this against BJ. I mean, everyone did. But Ian Garry, when he fought Shovkat, and this is the thing that'll be an interesting decider. As soon as Shovkat went for the club, Ian got that foot back inside, which allows him to keep distance. It means that club might be split. And that's how he took Shovkat's back. So he has a natural advantage because of his height. Islam one fight at welterweight against my boy Jack, who, I don't know, I'm out of breath, is a small welterweight. So Islam's now fighting Ian Garry, who's a tall, rangy welterweight. and slick counters. So again, what Ian Garry was able to do to Shavkat was really impressive. And when Shavkat wanted to hike this up, you'll see his foot coming. If I keep my foot out, Freddie can get his hips real close to me. And now, even if we're the same height or I'm taller, Freddie can hit me with that bicep and club me this direction. Ian, just like BJ Penn, kept the foot inside. So now when he goes to club me, not only does it give me space to be out of range of this, but it allows me to have really good balance. So I could push weight in, I could hop, and we can hang out in this zone here.
Islam Makhachev is prepared to go in the ring, and Ian Machado Garry cannot wait to face him there.
Islam's pound for pound number one. He's moving up. He beat JDM. He's the 170 pound champ. I don't know. I think Ian's going to do a really, really good job at frustrating. I don't know if he's going to be able to frustrate Islam. He's so mentally tough. So he's been through these 25-minute fights. But I do think there's going to be a point where he's frustrating Islam. He's popping him with a jab, and he's moving. He's circling. He's not engaging. He's hitting him with it. The crowd's booing. They're staying up till 5 a.m. to watch him. And he's punching and moving. But he's doing what he has to do. That's the thing. If he doesn't do that, he might, he loses percentages to win the fight. So I do think it's going to be a little bit of a punch move. Don't engage too much. I think he's going to wrestle really well. I think he's going to not get his back pushed up against the fence. I think he's going to circle, find the center, shut down a couple takedowns. And people are sleeping on Islam striking. Islam striking is clean, especially when he fought Dustin Poirier. But that was southpaw. On southpaw, he was slipped 2-3-2. He was looking super, super sharp. He head kicked Volkanovski. Volkanovski's 5'6". Ian Garry's 6'3". I don't think we're going to see any Islam head kicks to Ian Garry. With that all said, he is vegan, so I'm wondering, I don't know. Part of me thinks that Islam could just grab a hold of him and snap him in half like a fucking zucchini. But I don't know. Final prediction, I think Ian Garry's going to win a decision. I don't think it's going to be the most exciting fight ever. I think there's going to be some good back and forths, but I do think Ian Garry's going to get the job done.
You know that he's pound for pound number one, but all time, where does he rank? And what does a win over him do for you? What does it do for Ian Machado, Garry's legacy?
When I beat Islam Makhachev, it's undeniable that I'm one of the greatest fighters of this generation. Before the fight, everyone is talking about how, he's potentially on the greatest of all time list. He's up there. If he beats Anderson Silva's record, you have to respect him. You have to put him there. So keep that same energy when I beat him. Keep that same energy when I beat him, and don't come up with any excuses. When I win this fight, Ian Machado Garry is undeniably, unquestionably one of the greatest fighters of this generation.
As fight night approaches, the excitement about this bout has increased significantly. Everyone wonders if Garry will be able to achieve an upset victory and finally defeat the overwhelming champion, but Makhachev is not going to let anyone forget how challenging it has been for other fighters to get past him. Now that the scene has been set, the tension is rising, and there is one thing left to wonder: is Ian Garry going to succeed where others have not?
The fight we're about to talk now, Islam coming up in weight, the pound for pound best fighter in the world, joining that weight class. It's such a loaded, deadly division now that it went from the lows to I think it's probably the most dangerous division at this point. I mean, I know a lot of people say 55 is always going to be in that conversation. I know a lot of people like to speak about featherweight and bantamweight as well. Those are all in the conversation, but welterweight made a big comeback in the last year.
Yeah, it goes in ebbs and flows, right? But I really feel like right now the most stacked division right now is 170. So if you can take Islam, who was the champ and defended the title multiple times in at the lightweight division, and it was obviously the guys that he had to beat. He beat Dustin Poirier, and he's beat some other guys in that division, but he beat legends in that division. Now he's at 170, which to me is the younger, hungrier fighters. As he's getting older, he was willing to take that chance. That says a lot about him as a fighter and where you could probably put him in that pound for pound or the GOAT conversation.
And for people like me, this is what I needed to see out of him. I know you've always kind of held him very high, and I did too, but I was also, we've had these conversations about Islam before. I always had those question marks, and not everybody's going to see things the same way, but there are people that saw it like me, where they go, yeah, he's got title defenses, but, he was fighting Volk twice. He fought some last minute replacements. And it's like, if they are truly the best, I want to see him against those guys. Now he's in a division. Look, if the welterweight division was what,
but I don't think this is going to be as competitive as everybody else thinks. I don't think it's going to be as competitive as everybody else thinks. A 7.940. What are the odds that even if he loses, Ian Garry fucks Islam's leg up with the kicks like he did on Shavkat? I don't know. That is probably the only place where I see the competitive kind of... This fight could be competitive if there's a way Ian Garry, he is 6'3", could keep this fight at range. But if he can't, I think Islam's a better wrestler, better grappler. Wade, how are your fans hella liberal, even though you mainly have a UFC audience that tend not to be liberal? Dude, my audience is not necessarily a UFC audience. My audience is a YouTuber audience. So between both of my channels, my comment sections are libbed the fuck up, dude. Libbed the fuck up. It's crazy. Loud minority, maybe. But, yeah. The only thing I can see is Ian, someone said it, kicking the legs, keeping Islam at bay, not letting him, not letting Islam take over. Not letting Islam overrun him and overwhelm him. Not letting Islam set up a new cabinet.
So if not now for the knockout or the takedown defense, then when? Like, this is your shot. And so if he is so overwhelmed in the grappling and the wrestling, as a fan, I'd be like, all right, I mean, there really are levels to this because, you know, now's your fucking shot and it may not come again.
Yeah, I think that his big problem, and I think the big question mark for everybody is the wrestling. You know, I think that is the longest to learn, the longest to master, the hardest thing I think to deal with. As we were talking about with the Gamrot thing, there's just not a whole lot of people, no matter how skilled you are, that want to face a wrestler that can hold you down. And it's not even that simple with Makhachev because, yeah, he can hold you down. He can beat you up with ground and pound. He can finish you there with ground and pound. He can finish you with submissions. He can rinse, wash, repeat over the course of 5 rounds and just do that same thing over and over again. He has all the experience in the world. So this is still an extremely difficult fight for Ian Machado Garry. No question about it. But I agree. I mean, he's been building towards this moment. And if he is to pull this off, it would be spectacular. It really would, because Islam really is the #1 pound for pound fighter. I think there's no doubt at this point. And yeah, in some ways it's nice in that I don't think there's a whole lot of pressure on Garry in this spot because of how good Makhachev is.
Okay, zesty. That being said, that mother trucker can fight. And if anyone's going to beat Islam in 3 rounds, it's probably going to be Ian Garry. And if Ian Garry doesn't get done, Islam's going to be your champ for a very long time. Very long time. There's nobody else that can really give him the sort of test that he needs. Ian Garry matches up pretty well. Now, he's still a big underdog for a reason, but I'm just saying, as far as stylistically, again, a guy that's not going to commit to huge combinations, stays on the outside, frustrates Islam, and has a significant advantage in the striking department, it could get a little weird for Islam. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Because, again, he's not worried about flying in there and knocking his head off. He's very cool staying at distance, using his footwork, lining him up, picking him apart, defending takedowns, circling out, picking him apart, and you get 25 minutes of that. So it's going to be interesting. It's by far the most interesting matchup for Islam. Most exciting, completely different conversation. This is not it depends what you're into. If you're into strategic, high-level fighting, not big finishes, this is for us. And I enjoy it. This is for us. But if you want some crazy finish, some flying knee, some back and forth, brawl, bloody, this ain't it. This is not it. Islam said he gets it done under 3. We'll see.
For Garry, like, he's a pretty, like, I'm much more interested in the fact that he is a pretty smart fighter than that he's a big fighter. That he usually is pretty well aware of the sort of tactical idiosyncrasies that his opponents have and has a game plan for them. Now, they don't always work, but he is at least usually aware of like, okay, here he wants to get to spot A, B, and C. Here's how I can minimize that and then sort of win in the margins. In a micro sense, I'm interested to see how that plays out. In a macro sense, I just don't know if winning on the margins is how you beat Islam Makhachev. And so that's like, I am fascinated by this because I think there will be full-blown phases of this fight where Gary is winning, where Gary, like, Makhachev has a single against the fence and he can't get any of his trip series going because Gary has clearly scoped out like, oh, he wants to go from here to here to here, and I'm going to just stop that train before it gets up to speed. But then how does he win the fight outside of making Islam's life harder? I have much bigger questions. And so I think Gary might win many battles and still ultimately lose the war because he's not dealing with enough firepower to like win in a big way. And I kind of think that might be a necessity against him.
We're already trying to keep a straight face because I think Ian Garry has a chance in this fight.
You're wrong.
And he can't believe it.
You're absolutely wrong. All right. Carry on.
Do something about it.
Yeah.
Slap the nose off him, yeah?
Dude,
right, well,
you say that because Ian Garry thinks he's a little Conor McGregor when he's the exact opposite. Ian Garry is I'm holding back words right now about what I want to call Ian Garry to keep this family friendly. But you know what I'm about to say. You know exactly what I'm trying to say. He sits in a chair in the corner. All right, I'm gonna leave it right there.
Yeah. Straight from the mouth of Colby Covington.
Yeah.
Pause. Anyways, well, we're breaking down UFC 330, and let me make my case. All right, and to be fair, I do think Islam will win this fight, but I don't think it's going to be as dominant as it was against.
You think he's overrated?
For example,
and this for the odds for him, you think he's overrated, maybe per se, or Ian Garry's underrated?
I don't think Islam is overrated. I actually think the odds are fairly accurate, right? Islam's a minus 340 favorite, but I don't think he should be any higher than that. That's about as high as I think he should be as a favorite in this fight. Ian Garry, I have always felt was maybe one of the most underrated fighters on the roster. Right? What? You're making a monkey face.
Right, you're wrong. Who is he beat, bro?
According to Tom Aspinall, Islam Makhachev may face some of his toughest tests ever when fighting with Ian Garry. For Aspinall, there are certain elements in Gary's style which will make his game very tough to crack. Height, reach, movement, distance control, and striking ability make Garry a tough fighter, while his youth and no wear and tear due to injuries may add to his advantage. But Aspinall thinks that there is an element with which it is next to impossible to gauge anything, and that is the power of Islam. There is nothing wrong in gauging the techniques and speed of a fighter via screen, but the true power comes out only when you enter the ring.
Sides. Right, do you know what? I think this is going to be Islam's toughest fight that we've seen recently. I think that stylistically, Ian Garry is a pretty bad matchup for him, to be honest. He's long, rangy, moves really well. You don't often see him getting taken down and held there. Super tall, super elusive, elite striking, judges the distance really well. He's young, he's fresh, he's not had loads of damage or anything like that. He's not got a lot of miles on the clock. But then we're talking about Islam Makhachev, mate. In my opinion, pound for pound number one, or in the argument at the minute for that. Once he gets hold of you, you're done. He's got that left head kick. People are saying, there's reports across the board that he's the strongest person that people have ever fought. Apparently he's so physically strong, which is something that you can't see on TV.
What, just from a wrestling perspective?
Yeah, I think that's something that you can't really see. I mean, when you watch an opponent, right, you can always see the speed that they move, the techniques that they're using, the game plans and all that kind of stuff. What you can't see is how strong somebody is physically.
Yet, whereas Aspinall describes Gary's fighting style as a big obstacle for Makhachev, Garry thinks that there is a completely different reason why this fight should not be underestimated: the quality of opponents which Garry had to face before. Garry does not want to compare boxers with each other because every opponent causes him a completely new problem, but at the same time, he thinks that his recent career speaks for itself. He mentions Belal Muhammad, Shavkat Rakhmonov, Carlos Prate, and Michael Page. Every of these fighters was challenging for Garry in his own way.
I don't like to compare Islam to other fighters, because I think everybody's different. Everybody presents different challenges, different problems. Every opponent. For example, I think. But if you look at the people we fought. So if you look at my last 5 opponents versus Islam's last 5 opponents, in my opinion, it's not a discussion who's more difficult. When you look at who I fought, Bilal Muhammad, Shavkat Rakhmonov, Carlos Prates, MVP, those 4 are 4 of the trickiest fighters on the planet. All of them present real danger.
Garry carries that statement further, stating that his opponents not only were dangerous, but also bigger and longer than him. While acknowledging the talents of Islam's recent competition in the form of legendary fighters such as Dustin Poirier and Alexander Volkanovski, Garry is confident that his opponents were more dangerous than those of Islam's recent opponents. He brings up the fact that Shavkat Rakhmonov has an undefeated record and is also able to finish his opponents, as well as Carlos Prates, who has a good knockout record. Garry feels that all the hard work that he has gone through has prepared him for this fight against Islam.
When you look at JDM, Renato Moicano, Dustin Poirier, and the other 4th one, I think, was Volkanovski, if I'm correct.
I believe so, yeah.
As much as Volkanovski is a legend of the sport and Dustin Poirier is a legend of the sport, they're not as dangerous as the guys I've just mentioned. Not only that, every single one of them is bigger, longer. Shavkat was 18-0 and 18 finishes when I fought him. He had like 10 knockouts and 8 submissions. Carlos Prates had an 11-fight win streak by knockouts when I fought him. I've been fighting the highest level of MMA fights against the toughest opponents. When I step into this octagon against Islam Makhachev, I'm going to prove to the world why Ian Machado is truly great.
He realizes that when going up against a champion such as Makhachev, it is not just about making it through the match by surviving while hoping to squeak out a victory. Although his natural fighting style centers on controlling space, shifting appearances, and having opponents chasing him down, Garry realizes that he will need to take chances in this bout. Garry feels that any challenger who steps into the ring for a chance at winning the title should be ready to do so, since merely surviving a fight is not good enough. In order to win the title from Islam, Garry will need to fight with determination.
How about risk-taking, Ian? I mean, you're capable of fighting in different ways. You know, you've switched up your style against different opponents. I mean, I think you at your best is when you're kind of playing a cat and mouse game and when you're maintaining that range that you want. I feel like a guy at #1 pound for pound, a champion like Islam, you're going to have to go in there and really take it from him. And it's like how do you view, I guess, aggression and risk in this fight?
I think, but what you're saying there, I think that's how every challenger has to go into a fight against the champion. You can't just scrape a win against the champion because it's hard being the champion of the world.
According to Garry, taking on a superior champion such as Makhachev is not about just performing well enough to win the rounds, but about having no doubts about which one of them was the superior fighter. Nevertheless, it is not about reckless fighting, but about making efficient decisions that would ensure the most damage and self-protection at the same time. According to him, stepping into the cage with Islam Makhachev is the biggest risk any athlete could ever take. This is why Garry wants to be efficient and dangerous against his opponent.
World. It's hard being the guy that everybody is trying to beat, everybody is preparing for. You can't just walk in there and marginally win. In my mind, you have to go in there and make it absolutely abundantly clear that you won that fight. That's my opinion. For me, it's being efficient. It's not about risk taking, it's about efficiency. It's about making the right calculated decisions to cause the most damage and remain safe. The risk is entering in the octagon. Do you know what I mean? We're both of us are two of the greatest fighters walking this planet right now. We both know what we can do to each other. Long-term health-wise, instant health-wise in that octagon. Do you know what I mean? I've broken many people's noses, faces, ribs.
As Gary aims to be efficient and makes calculated plans for dealing with Makhachev, Hardy considers the possibility that the biggest threat may arise from the champion's capacity to cause trouble in all domains of the contest. The fighter says that Gary has always dreamed of becoming champion and improved his groundwork while training in Brazil. Yet Hardy wonders whether such preparation is enough when it comes to the pressure that Makhachev can bring thanks to his wrestling and grappling skills. Hardy considers that the champion has the means to pose a problem to Gary at any point of their fight, and only the experience of training in Dagestan will give Gary that.
Islam Makhachev versus Ian Machado. Gary, what do you make of that matchup?
That's a great fight. Look, it's a great fight. Ian Garry for a long time has been saying that, you know, he is the future. Obviously, it's his nickname. Like, he sees himself as being there with the belt. He's visualized it, but now he's got Makhachev in the division. And I mean, Makhachev's got the kryptonite for every single person in the division. No matter where the fight goes, he's got the skills to challenge you and to cause you issues. Like, of course, since Ian Garry's, you know, been spending time in Brazil, been working on his jiu-jitsu, he's going to be far more confident in his ground game. But at the same time, like, I don't know if you're going to be able to replicate what Islam Makhachev can do to you. I think you would have to be in the wrestling room in Dagestan to really feel that kind of pressure. And what you got to remember is, like, that room right now, we keep signing a bunch of guys from Khabib's team. They're all like cookie cutter versions of each other. They're all lethal. They've all got great wrestling.
According to Hardy, the elite grappling, pressure, and striking involved in Makhachev's training setup makes him very tough to prepare for. Being at the top of this kind of system, Gary may have problems finding anyone capable of imitating his fighting style. Hardy notes that Islam looks very tough at welterweight too. Even though Gary is good with his striking and distance management, he cannot pick on Islam for 5 rounds.
They've all got that pressure style with good punching and kicking now. You know what I mean? Like, there's a really elite level in that gym, and Makhachev's at the top of that pile. Like, everybody in that gym is working towards where he is, and everybody in that gym's a killer. Like, I just don't know if you're going to be able to find the same kind of look that you're going to need to be able to deal with Makhachev. And I think now he's moved up to welterweight, I just think he looks physically so much healthier and stronger. You know, Ian Garry's a slick striker, but he needs to damage Makhachev. He can't play the 25 minutes of picking and poking because Makhachev...
And this is precisely why Wade Plemons finds it so tough a fight for Gary, as he thinks there are chances for Ian, but only in case the fight will continue to be on the feet. But, as Plemons thinks, Islam is an entirely different beast at welterweight division. He thinks that the skills of the champion's wrestling and grappling are a big plus, and even sees the chances to get the submission in the beginning of the bout. It is true that Gary demonstrated decent defensive wrestling and some good scrambles, but Islam always fights his best against the top opponents.
So it's not like, you know, there's not opportunities there for Ian Garry, especially if it becomes a striking matchup. There's positions there for him to win, but I just think Islam at 70 is a different animal. His strength is there. I think he's a better grappler than Shavkat is. I could see Islam submitting him early. I really could see him submitting him early. Not maybe first round, but late first into second. I could see that happening, dude. I could see that happening. And one of those like, oh shit, wow, he made that look way easier than we thought type of moments. And Ian Garry has good grappling defense. I'm not here to say he doesn't. Like, he's got good scrambles. He gets to his feet. He kind of showed that in the Shavkat fight. But I don't know. The way that Islam looked and how he's made it's almost like, I don't know, the way Islam fights, he almost like rises to competition.
Whereas Georges St-Pierre views the matchup as a fascinating clash between two very different skill sets, with both Makhachev and Gary possessing clear paths to victory. He sees Gary as a dangerous, technically gifted striker who could create serious problems if he maintains distance and keeps the fight standing. However, St-Pierre believes Islam's biggest advantage will come from his world-class grappling and ability to dictate where the fight takes place. If the champion can repeatedly drag Gary into his wrestling game, St-Pierre expects him to have the upper hand. But if Garry can deny the takedowns and force a prolonged striking battle, the challenger could turn the fight in his favor and pull off a major upset.
Like, there's a lot of welterweight is so freaking good right now. There's so many good guys. Do you think Ian is a good choice to test Islam, who will be going for his 17th straight UFC win, trying to break Anderson Silva's record, which he's currently tied with?
Oh wow, yeah, that's wow. I think it's gonna be a good fight. Ian Garry, it's definitely a tough opponent, very good striker. But Islam once again, his goal gonna be to bring the fight to the ground, and I think if he's able to do that, he's gonna have an edge. If Ian Garry is able to keep it on the feet, and Ian gonna have an edge, So
while St-Pierre sees a clear path for Garry if he can keep the fight standing, Sean Brady believes Makhachev will ultimately have too many answers for the challenger. Brady acknowledges that Gary's height could create problems early, especially since he will be one of the taller opponents Islam has faced. However, he questions whether Garry has the physical strength or knockout power needed to consistently keep the champion at range. Brady also notes that Gary's reach is not unusually long for his height, which could make closing the distance easier for Islam. As the fight progresses, Brady expects Makhachev to dominate the grappling and secure a submission victory.
Well, let's talk about Islam and Garry. That's your division. What do you make of that fight and how you think that one plays out? The interesting thing about that fight, because I kind of looked it up and I think this is kind of common knowledge, but Gary's going to be like the biggest opponent he's fought as far as like the height and reach. So I do wonder if Garry can kind of keep him on the outside or stuff those takedowns. What do you make of the main event?
Yeah, I don't know, because Garry is tall, he's long, but he's not like a Morales where he's like big and strong as well. Like, Ian's not putting guys out with one shot. He doesn't really have that capability, so I don't think it's going to be too hard for Islam to get him down. Like, yeah, Ian's definitely long, but Ian's tall, but his reach is only 74 inches, so it's not like he has a
crazy reach. Yeah,
where it'd be a lot harder to get past his arms. I just think it's one-way traffic for Islam. I think he's going to get him down, and I think
Daniel Cormier, however, sees a potential problem in Gary's mindset heading into the fight. He believes Garry may be putting unnecessary pressure on himself by becoming too focused on exactly how he wants to beat Makhachev. After Garry talked about aiming for a 4th-round knockout so nobody could dismiss his victory as a fluke, Cormier questioned whether that approach is wise against the pound-for-pound elite. In his view, Garry should not become obsessed with a particular finish or time frame. The priority should simply be finding a way to win, because defeating someone like Islam would be an enormous accomplishment regardless of how the victory comes.
A person is misguided in their thoughts, and when they're misguided in their thoughts, they set themselves up for a very, very bad night or a bad result. I'm not saying Ian Garry cannot beat Islam Makhachev. What I'm saying is you got to take that as it comes. You can't try to say, I want to beat the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world in a certain round because I don't want it to be a fluke. If you win, it does not matter how you win. It does not matter how you win.
Moreover, Colby Covington believes Garry has a legitimate route to upsetting Makhachev, especially because of his size, reach, and striking ability. He also questioned whether Islam still has the same level of motivation after missing out on several major opportunities. However, Covington made it clear that Garry could be in serious trouble if Islam manages to establish his wrestling and keep the fight on the ground. For him, the biggest uncertainty is Gary's grappling. The challenger has made improvements in his wrestling and jiu-jitsu, but Covington is not convinced those upgrades will be enough to withstand Islam's relentless pressure and control if the champion gets his hands on him.
Hey, by the way, before I wrap it up, just back to the UFC for a second. In your old division, or in your division of welterweight, Islam Makhachev takes on Ian Garry, right? I just want to know, from your perspective, do you think Ian Garry's got a shot here to win the belt?
Yeah, definitely. He has a shot for sure. You know, even though he's a cuck and he sits in the corner of the room and watches his wife get dogged out by the nutritionist, he still has a shot. You know, there's no doubt about it. He's a long, lanky fighter. Islam's getting a little older. Who knows Islam's motivation anymore? You know, he wanted that big money matchup with Ilya, and now that matchup is gone and destroyed forever. So that matchup will never happen. So we just got to see what his motivation level is, you know, and you know, he's going to be a lot smaller than Ian. So, I mean, I think he inflicts his will, and, you know, he takes him down and makes it a boring fight. But, you know, definitely Ian can win. He has paths to victory on the feet, but we'll have to see what type of evolution he has in his.
With Gary's grappling still a major question, Kenny Okoye favors Islam Makhachev to win by submission. He expects Gary to start well, using his movement, distance, and awkward attacks to frustrate Islam early. However, Okoye believes the champion will adjust quickly, using his elite fight IQ to track Gary down, secure a takedown, and eventually finish the challenger on the ground.
My prediction for who's going to win the fight, I think Islam by sub. I think that's gonna be what happens. I think Islam by sub or points if like the stalling happens, but I really see Islam finishing Ian Garry before the end of it. I think Gary will start well with his stomps. He's gonna use his distance well, dictate most things. Islam Makhachev's gonna have like a, hopefully not too long, because I think he's gonna have an adjustment period in this fight. I will say the adjustment period bleeds into the third round. That's where a gray area starts to come. I'm hoping he adjusts this very well. Like I'm talking about like first 2-3 minutes. He's going to have to adjust to that stomping and that running. He's going to have to find out how to track him down. And I think he will. And I believe he will. Because like I said, his fight IQ, his game planning is usually top notch. You know, I said eventually Islam gets him down. That's what's going to come to.
So, who do you think will come out on top in this massive matchup? Let us know your prediction in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more UFC breakdowns, predictions, and fight updates.